All right, guys, this is going to be 4.1 triangle sum. Good news is you did this in middle school, so this shouldn't be anything totally new, except for the fact that we'll tie in constructions to this, okay? So we're gonna investigate the triangle sum, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a triangle and we're gonna cut it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut off each angle and discover what we know about angles. Okay, so if I were to take my scissors, and you can pause this and get a triangle if you want. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off each angle, okay, or each corner. I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to remove each angle over here. And what I want to do with all three angles is I want to put them all together so that they meet at one point. So each vertex meets at one point and each side is adjacent. Probably need to turn that a little bit more. Okay, so basically this is something you already knew because I've been hearing you guys say it throughout this school year already. You know that all three angles add up to 180, but look, here's proof when you put them all together, okay? So again, I took all three angles and I put them adjacent to one another and where each vertex meets at one point, and you can clearly see that one angle, the second angle, and the third angle, they all add up to 180 degrees, okay? So that's just a little bit of proof there with this little investigation. So make sure you remember that from here on out. The sum of the measures of the angles, and like I said, most of y'all already knew this, so that's good, is 180 degrees. So let's just go straight to doing some examples. So you have a picture here on the left with some angles that are given, and I definitely see some triangles. I see several triangles there. So we're going to use that rule to figure out the measure of angle Y, X, and Z. So the first one that I would probably find is maybe this linear pair right here. So we learned what a linear pair is back in chapter 1. So we're going to use that. And a linear pair always adds up to 180. So 180 minus 65, I believe, is 115 degrees. And so now I'm focusing down on this bottom triangle right here. And so I'm going to use my 180 rule to figure out Z first. So I'm going to do 115 plus the 28 gives me 143, and then I'm going to subtract that from 180, which leaves angle Z to be 37 degrees. Okay, so there's one answer, 37 degrees. So which one should I find next? I can work my way to find Y, or I can do Z, and there's lots of different ways you can do this too, guys. So it's entirely how the route that you take, and like I said, most of y'all can do problems differently. So I'm going to figure out this linear pair right here, and then I remember that vertical angles are always congruent, so I'm going to go ahead and write 20 degrees here, which that will take me to now having this angle right here to work with. So this one here is what, 102 degrees? Okay, and don't forget, none of this is drawn to scale, okay? So it's just work with the numbers that they give you. So 102 plus 78 is 180 because here's another linear pair. And so now I'm going to use those three and use the 180 rule to find angle Y. So 180 minus 122 degrees leaves me with 58. So angle Y is 58 degrees. All right, that leaves me one last angle to figure out X, okay? And there's, again, different ways you can do that. There's a shorter way, there's a longer way. It doesn't matter as long as you get the final answer to be correctly. So what I would do is I would use this red triangle that I'm about to highlight, okay? I know in a triangle, again, they all add up to 180. So I'm going to use this angle over here, which is 58. This angle right here, which is 65. And then I know this angle here need to add up to 180. So let's add 58 plus 65. That gives me 123. Now subtract that from 180. That leaves angle X to be 57 degrees. And there we go. So use the different triangles, okay? Could you have found these angles over here that led you to one of the angles? For sure, okay? So there's different ways to do this problem. All right, let's do one more that is associated to the angle sum. It says find the sum of the given angles. So if I see A, B, and C that are given, basically this problem's asking me, what does A plus B plus C equal, okay? And they're on the exterior. However, there is this triangle on the interior. Most kids have a hard time with this because they see no angle measures whatsoever. They don't see 20 degrees, 30 degrees. They don't see an actual number. But you should still be able to figure this out because remember, these are vertical angles. So I could technically label that one A because those are vertical and they're equal. I could label that one B and I could label that one C. Well, if all three of those are the same inside the triangle, you should know that the sum of A plus B, or the sum of A, B, and C should total out to 180 degrees because, again, these are vertical, okay? On your homework, we'll probably maybe ask you what does this angle, I don't know, this angle and this angle add up to, okay? So it's different problems like that where you're actually going to just focus on using the sum of the measure of the angles in a triangle. Okay. All right, let's do one last problem. This is going to be kind of new to you because this is a construction problem. On this one, we need our compass and straight edge, which you should have because we did a whole unit of constructions. So I'm going to have that ready. And so I need to make a triangle. You did a little bit of that also in our construction units, okay? So let's utilize these three parts to construct a triangle. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy AC. So I'm going to get my straight edge. I'm going to make a long segment, and then I'm going to copy AC. I want that to be at the bottom part of my triangle, okay? So let's go get the measure. Oh, my compass is not going to reach. Correct. Great. Okay, I'll have to do, your compass should work. I'm going to have to do double the work. Okay, so I'm going to make a little arc right there. And then I have to go make that same arc down here. And then now I'm going to go measure, since my compass is so tiny, I'm going to go measure that last little piece so that way I make sure I get that, okay? But you, again, you should be able to do this in one shot. All right. So then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make one arc. Okay, so what I have so far is I have, let me label different color. I have A being on this side, and then that's going to be my C, okay? So I copied AC. That's going to be one side of my triangle. The next thing that I would notice is I have an angle B and I have an angle A. Well, I don't have B yet on my picture yet, so there's only one thing to do, and that is to copy angle A. So I'm going to get my compass. You have to remember how to copy an angle. The first step should be to make an arc on the angle. And then let's come down here and we're going to copy that angle at A. Okay, remember back I said to label these two letters, okay? So you're going to measure from there to there, and we can call them D and E. So you're going to measure how wide D to E is because we need to use that to get the exact measure of this angle. All right, once you get that measure, you're going to come down here and you're going to make an arc there. All right, so I have an angle now to represent part of my to represent part of my triangle. I don't know how big that side's going to be, so I'm just going to make it rather long. Okay, I know C is here. So now the next part right here is where students get real confused because they do not know what to do next. They made the angle so long, so a lot of kids will say, well, let's just copy angle B right here. Okay, well, if you copy angle B right here, you're assuming that B is right there. Why is not B here? Or why is it not here? There's infinitely many solutions right there that we can use, okay? So where does B go? Because that's all I have left. Well, think about what this whole lesson is. Let me get rid of all these wrong points because that is not B. The lesson is about that 3 angles add up to equal 180 degrees. Well, if I knew my angle C, I could copy it right there, okay? Let me move this out of the way. So I could technically copy C if I knew what it was, but I don't know what it is. So how do I, excuse me, how do I figure out what angle C is? Well, if you know 2 angles, A and B, and you know that all 3 add up to 180, don't you think we could probably do something with A and B? Think about what the investigation is over here that we did. I took 2 of the angles and I put them together, and so it formed this flat line right here. And so think about if I have A and B together, don't you think I can produce C? So that's exactly what you need to do. You need to copy A over here with B, okay? So let's do that right now. Now, you know we're working with a 180-degree angle. So another good idea would be you could extend this line right here that way, or you can just copy A right adjacent next to B, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I already have an angle on A, so I'm going to use that same, arc. I already have this arc on A. So see, since I already drew that, I'm gonna go draw that same arc over here. Okay, and again, I'm gonna make it adjacent to B. So I'm gonna put my vertex right here. I'm gonna make that same arc. Okay, and then I'm gonna go measure how wide E to D is again, because I'm copying that angle right there. Okay, and you're going to place your compass on this intersection right here. So you can make an arc there. All right, so where that point or where that intersection is, I'm now going to take my straight edge and connect it through there, like so. So let me get my flat pen. Let me make sure I have it all lined up. I don't like that one because it doesn't go perfectly through, so I need to go fix that. Let's try that one. That one's a little bit better. Okay, so guess what, guys? You just copied angle A right there, okay? So this is angle A from there to there. This is B from there to there. So what do you think the rest of this part is right here? That rest of the part is going to be your angle C, okay? So we need to extend this line B. So everybody get your ruler, line it up with that. And that way you have a nice straight edge, flat line, because remember, whenever you have a flat line, that equals 180 degrees. So guess what? The remainder of this is going to be C, because the rule is 3 angles in a triangle always add up to equal 180. Now that I know C, I can copy the angle C over here on my triangle that I've started, and I can finish off the triangle. So first step is to make an arc on angle C. Come over here to the C on your triangle. And I'm just copying the angle. You know how to copy an angle. We learned that on our last unit. Now go measure how wide angle C is. So place it on there. I didn't label the points. You should probably label the points. There we go. So you get the width of that. And then I'm going to come over here, place it on this intersection right there, and make an arc. All right, so there's my angle C. And hopefully I drew my other line long enough. It looks like I might have. Okay, and you can always go extend that side as well. All right, let me get my pen. And there we go. Usually this would have been longer. Okay, but that is, what a coincidence that I drew it exactly the same size. Okay, but usually most of the time I tend to make it longer going out that way. Just to kind of give you an idea. Okay, and so then that leaves AC, this is my angle B, which it should be the exact same size as this one over here because of the 180 rule. Okay, so this one was a tough construction problem. So this is something new as you would do in high school as opposed to middle school, even though you know 180 degrees is the sum of the three angles. All right, so now you can work on your homework.